You talked about your dad grabbing you out of the chair at dinner if you said the wrong thing. What other forms of punishment did you get at the hand of your dad? In the Muncie house.
I got thrown outside. I got punched in the stomach very often. And I got beaten with the belt.
And your brother? Would you see him get physically punished in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of physical punishment did you see of him?
My brother was not really worthy of a punch, according to my dad. My dad would slap the hell out of him a lot. Like I told you earlier, he would just slap him. His punishment, unless he was just furious, he would take him to our bedroom. We shared a bedroom, and he would beat him with the belt, pretty much in the same way he beat me.
Did you ever see an incident on the tennis court when you were both older and living in Pennington involving Eric?
Yes.
And what happened there?
That was another way my dad sort of lost control, is throwing you against things. And that time on the tennis court, my brother was having a problem with some stroke. I really wasn't paying attention too much, and next thing I knew, my brother was saying no. My dad had him by the shirt and dragged him along just carried him along the court and just threw him up against the screen. And up in the mesh part, and I was these things were terrifying because you wanted to do something, but if you got involved, it would just make it worse. So I just kind of hovered along, and my brother was hysterical, and he dragged him along the grass into the basement, and kept telling me to go away, and I kept hovering around because I wanted to make sure he didn't do anything that would really hurt my brother. And he didn't end up beating him up or anything. He just threw him against the couch and started screaming at him right in his face that he would never talk back to him again.
How old was your brother at that time?
He was, I think 13, somewhere around there.
Do you have a scar by your left eye?
Yeah, from the coffee table.
And your attention. The picture that's up on the board. $236, Your Honor.
Excuse me.
Do you recognize this picture?
I recognize who's in it.
Who's in it?
That's myself and Tristesse.
And does something appear to be wrong with your left eye?
Yeah, that's the injury to my left eye. That's the injury to my left eye when I got thrown into the coffee table.
What happened that you got thrown into the coffee table?
I was roughhousing with my dad in the Muncie house, and I grabbed his genitals at one point, which he did to me a lot, but he just snapped. As soon as I did that, he yanked me up, and he said something, but I don't remember, and threw me basically it was only a couple feet, but across the room into a coffee table, and I split my eye open, and was just screaming, and he took me by the arm, and he gave me to my mother, and we went to the hospital.
She comfort you?
No, she was very upset. She was upset that I was roughhousing with my dad, and that's what I get for roughhousing with my dad, and I should know better, and and I I did get the sense that maybe, I always felt maybe she was sorry and she just wished it didn't happen or something, and so was attacking me in a response to not being able to say that. But she was very harsh.
Do you have another scar on your face below your lower lip?
Yes.
How old were you when you got that?
I was about 17, I think.
And how did that happen?
I was in the I was at a club with a coach of mine, and we were playing, and my coach got called off the.
Okay, go ahead.
Coach got called off the court for a phone call, and then he came back and said, "It's your dad. Father wants us to play outside," and it was raining. I said, "Well, it's raining," and he said, "Well, it's not raining. It basically almost stopped raining, and he wants us to go out," and he was very firm. We should go out and dry the courts off, because what am I doing practicing indoors when I've got a tournament outdoors that weekend? Go out, dry the courts, play out there. So a lot of times this coach would just, he won't know, we'll just stay indoors, but decided to go and do that. And we went out to the courts, in the public courts, and we brought a bunch of towels and we dried the courts, and we started playing. And we wouldn't play more than 5 minutes, and my dad pulled up in the limo, came around the side of the bushes, came to a stop, and we were like, man, he must have called from the car. We thought he was at his office in New York, and he couldn't get there, so he pulled up and he got out and he was watching. So we were relieved that we had actually gone to the courts, and we were very nervous whenever my dad was around, especially my coach, because my dad was very aggressive. And I had sprained my ankle, and so I had an ankle problem still, and I was playing with it. And so I just wasn't running as fast, and my dad was ridiculing me and pushing me and saying, what a baby, look, Brad, he can't run fast, look at him, look at him, oh, poor baby, can't play tennis, can't run, his ankle hurts. He was doing that over and over and over. And then finally I was so embarrassed, and I just couldn't take it anymore, and I lost control, and I told my dad, why don't you just shut up? And
had you ever said anything like that to your dad before?
No, never. And my coach was just like this, and I looked at him, my dad, you couldn't believe the transformation of my dad. He just turned red, and he didn't know what to do with himself. He grabbed the ball and he threw it at me, and the ball hit me.
Could you have stepped out of the way?
Yes.
Why didn't you?
I wanted the ball to hit me.
Why?
Because I had screwed up, and I was hoping. My dad he lost control there, and I wanted to just dissipate it. Maybe if he was going to throw a ball at me, I was going to make sure I got hit by the ball. So I got hit by the ball, and he told me to come over, and I kind of walked up to him. And he led me over to the back of the car. How
did he lead you over to the back of the car?
He just grabbed me by the arm and led me. Didn't drag me or anything, because my coach was right there. And he put me in the back of the car. As soon as I got in the back of the car, he just punched me straight in the face. And I went back against the window, and he grabbed my neck. He said, don't ever embarrass me like that again, or I'll kill you.
What did you do?
Well, I didn't do anything. I just sat there. And I had blood all over my shirt.
I can't hear you. Move up. I asked you what you did.
I was in shock. I didn't do anything. I nodded my head, and he tightened his grip on my neck, and he says, "Is that perfectly clear?" And I said, "Yes."
Did you ever talk back to him again?
No, I never talked back to him again. And I didn't see my coach for almost a week. And
What happened to your lip?
It split open completely, and we went back home. Long drive home, and my mother basically attended me, and we just put gauze in the whole thing.
When you got home, did you get out of the car with your dad, or did he get out?
No, he got out first. I was really in shock, and I just sat there. I didn't know what the limo driver was going to do. I didn't want him to see me. I was embarrassed. I didn't know what Brad was going to say later. I just sat in the car. He got out immediately, walked to the house.
Let me back you up. After he hit you in the face, did you leave immediately, or did your dad get out of the car?
Oh, he got out of the car, left me there, and he went and he finished picking up the balls with Brad. And apparently he told Brad, "I'm really sorry that this happened. It'll never happen again." And so then eventually, as soon as he picked up finishing the balls, he came back. He told the driver, "Let's go."
Were you crying?
I was sobbing, and blood everywhere, and just staying near the door.
When you got home then, you said your dad got out first. Your dad got out first?
Right, he got out first. He went into the house, and then he came back out to settle something with the driver. He told me, "Come on." And I got out, and we got my rackets out of the trunk, and I went into the house, and my mom was waiting for me. She had stuff ready to take care of me.
She asked you what happened?
No. She knew what happened. I'm sure my dad told her.
She say anything to you about it?
No, she never said anything about it.
She get in a fight with your dad over it?
No.
Was it ever discussed?
Objection, lack of foundation.
Sustained.
Was it ever discussed in your presence? Did
was-
you ever hear your mom and dad talk about it, or your mom ask you anything about it?
No, we just... I thought maybe I was going to be going to the hospital, and she said, no, you don't need to go. It's going to be it'll be fine. And it was, basically, other than the scar that was left.
You were 16, 17 years old?
I was 17.
Why didn't you hit your dad back?
I just didn't hit my dad back.
Were you mad at him?
No, I was in shock, really. So I hadn't been punched like that. I hadn't been punched like that ever, actually. I would never hit my dad back. That would be crazy.
Why?
My dad was just a very I just don't think he would have. I don't know what he would have done to me. I would not have just hit my dad or really got angry with my dad either. He didn't tolerate that. That's why that happened to my brother when my brother said no. And only my mother fought back with my dad. Nobody I ever saw in my life. And when he said that, I believed him. And he took the way people treated him very seriously. And you did not treat my father with disrespect.